Well, I've been involved in Wills&Co Financial Group since its inception. I formed the business in 1995 and have been involved in the small cap sector of the market for, well, a number of years. I had my own firm prior to founding this business and realised then that small firms needed to raise capital. And throughout that time, I've been interested in how small firms can raise finance to create jobs and create the success stories of tomorrow. That's why I started the business in the first place. The reason I'm having this conversation today is because I think whatever has happened to Wills&Co, and we can go into that later, we need to go back to Parliament, change the law on the way in which small cap stocks are sold in this country to enable us to get out of recession. Banks won't give capital. The banks aren't issuing any capital out to small companies. Institutions won't get involved in the AIM and Plus markets because they have no exit route. And if there are no stockbrokers at the end of that exit route to be able to speak to the private investors for them to engage in the markets, it's going to create a closed market. And if we have a closed market, that means that small companies have nowhere to go. And if small companies can't flourish in this country as it stands, then that will continue a recession in this country. We have to do something. We have to create a debate that enables private investors to get out there, look at the facts involved, and involve themselves in small companies. Tax breaks, yes, but being sold is absolutely crucial. We all want to be sold things. We don't want to be just advised. And I certainly, as an investor of stocks and shares, as somebody that is under the powers of the FSA, I want to be able to be sold an idea. The proposals have to be that the FSA has to be broken up. Under the old SFA, the rules of trading in stocks and shares in this country was a lot easier than it is under the FSA. If it is that the FSA say that you have to sell a share like an insurance product, then we have nowhere to go. There is no point in any stockbroking firm trying to do business at any time. I was quoted in the newspapers, the Times and the Evening Standard recently. If £2 billion worth of income was generated to the very few online betting companies in this country, then really the small cap sector, which is a better bet than anything in casinos, if we were private investors, surely we can have a bet on a small cap stock, an informed bet on a small cap stock, than frivolously throwing it away in betting on red or black at a casino. And the point I was trying to make then, and I think it is still relevant today, is that we have to get away from this dependent regulation that we have today. There is this fervour at the moment everywhere. Politicians and everybody else has gone onto the bandwagon about needing more and more and more regulation. But we're in a recession. And the trouble that's going to happen is that if we continue to be in a recession, the banks are not going to get us out of this recession. Government won't get us out of this recession. The thing that's going to get us out of recession is small companies expanding and creating jobs. There are more people employed by small companies in this country than any of the big companies in this country. And yet we can't service them. Great Britain at the moment is closed for business, and we have to break the deadlock. And if the FSA are of a mind that they have to look after customer interests in this way, and if you look at the regulations, you can understand their position, then we can't proceed. But we have to break this deadlock. So the statute has to be changed in Parliament. Well, clearly, the FSA action about closing all the small cap brokers has stopped the private investor from liquidating its assets in the small cap sector. One would ask that the FSA is not interested in private investors investing in the small cap sector. If that's the case, then I, for one, after spending a significant amount of money with a top 4 consultancy firm to look at our procedures, who informed us that we hadn't missold any stock, we have a state of flux now. Private investors are disadvantaged. There's no doubt about that in my mind. Private investors can't help the economy grow, can't create jobs. invest in firms that they believe are the body shops of tomorrow, which started with £10,000 by one chap investing in that firm. These are now almost beyond any regulated FSA firm. And that surely is not right. We have to do something, and we have to do something very, very quickly to change this round. Now, I've offered my services to the FSA as an expert in this area, in the small cap sector. I have my ideas. Some of them are seen as being quite unpalatable to the FSA, but it's the debate. You create the debate, and then you find the answers through the debate. No debate, and put it all under the carpet, and for me to just be quiet about what has happened to Wills&Co stockbrokers, that's the easy way for me. There is evidently something that has to be said, something has to be created, something that has to be discussed, and then eventually proposed to Parliament to change the rules in regards to investing in stocks and shares in this country. The difficulty I have right now is that there are a number of firms that the FSA have highlighted in Germany, in Spain, in other areas on the continent of Europe that can sell in legitimately into the United Kingdom and have no investor protection. But their regulators look at it in a much more pragmatic way than we do. Now, this isn't right. This is not right, because what you're doing is just for the sake of the FSA thinking about their investor protection, is pushing it all into other MiFID areas. And MiFID, as we all know, allows you to passport back into the United Kingdom if you're a German company or a Spanish company.
So do you believe that the FSA understand the implication of their, what seems to me, short-term action against this sector of the market?
I don't think the FSA's remit is to look at the long-term effects of its regulation. I think when you have the departing chief executive of the FSA, Hector Sands, saying to all the market, be afraid, be very afraid. Well, it's the economy that has to be very afraid of what Hector Sands has done. The precedent that Hector Sands has constituted right through the FSA is that they now believe they're bulletproof. They believe that good legal argument is irrelevant because they can railroad and bully any firm into submission. We stopped defending our actions because we ran out of money. Clear and simple. We believe, and still do believe, that we were right. We believe, and still believe, that if we had the money to continue fighting, instead of spending it on legal advisors and regulation and consultants, that we would still be in business today. The fact is that the FSA will always get their way. And there is no need, and I'll say that to every single stockbroker out there is no need for any of you to fight the FSA because it is worthless. You might as well close up today. And that's a terrible indictment to say. It's an unworkable situation right now. George Osborne at the Conservative Party is saying that he wants to break the FSA up. And all I would do is a plea on behalf of all stockbrokers everywhere in this country to say, please do that. Let stockbrokers break. Stockbrokers need to break, because if stockbrokers don't break to private investors, then you're not going to get the investment you can into companies, whether they be small or large, from private clients.